Okay.
Good morning or good afternoon. It's already afternoon. My goodness, my goodness. So, we are very excited that you have joined us today. It is a Friday, and can we all just take a minute um, to settle into our space? And we'll do some introductions. We'll talk just a little bit. But if your morning has been like my morning, it has been layered with having to do things on top of each other, and I feel like I've been running. So, in this space, we just want to take a moment for you to settle in your seat, relax your shoulders. I invite you to place your hands on your thighs, put your feet on the floor, and for a moment, just notice what you are feeling, sensing inside your body. You can close your eyes, but I want you to just do like a body scan. Just start at the top of your head. Notice, is there anything that you feel, that you sense in your head? Like maybe a headache. If not, move around towards your eyes. Is there any squinting? And if so, just notice that. Your body, as you think about and focus on your eyes, you may notice a deeper breath. It might be a small one, but just notice that breath. Notice your jawline. Are you clenching your teeth? And if you are, let that go. That might indicate that you're noticing your neck. You want to wiggle your neck. Maybe there's some tension in your shoulders. Just move those around for a moment. Notice what you might sense in your back. Mine feels extremely tight. My shoulders, there's a little bit of ache in my shoulders. So I just want to wiggle those for a moment. I noticed that I was slumping a little bit. So now I'm straightening my back and it feels like a good stretch. And I'm just going to lean into that for a moment. Just stretch if that's what you're noticing. And then just move through the rest of your body, your hips. What are you noticing? You might even experience a yawn or some moisture coming up around your eyes. And just lean into that for a minute. Notice the air around you. Is it cool? Is it warm? Are there any smells? If you're having a cup of coffee, can you smell the coffee? And what does that, all of these things together, begin to do within your nervous system? Has your breathing slowed down? Has your heart rate changed? Do you feel a little calmer than what you did when you came in? Because this was a new space. I'm not making an assumption, but I feel like for Cameron and Heather and I, we were struggling with my PowerPoint. So my body was all tensed up. It was just like, And now I do feel like I can wiggle a little bit. And we invite you to use the chat just to make some comments if you would like. We do invite you to place your name in the chat. We will be sending some more information after this webinar about the art of self-care. That's what we're here for today. We're going to be talking about the art of self-care. How do you do it? And what are some components of that? And how does it show up? So as we go through this PowerPoint today, I invite you to make your own notes, piece of paper, pen, something to write with, because this is a very active webinar at this point. We're going to be looking at some different things and really sensing into our own bodies and what we think and feel and do around the art of self-care. So this webinar is presented by North Carolina Families United. My name is Mary Lloyd. I am the program director, and we are very, very pleased that you are with us. For me, the year of 2025, not that I made a New Year's resolution, but I did make some decisions around my own self-care, and that is my focus for the year, just around how I take care of myself, and then noticing and looking at how that intersects and impacts the other relationships in my life. So we're very grateful for your presence, and we're going to move to the next slide. And as we do that, if anyone wants to come off mute and just give us your name and where you work, if you feel like it. It's an invitation, no pressure, no force, no push. It's up to you. Okay. If not, because it appears that we're sort of a small group, you can come off mute, and that way we can have a discussion a little bit as we move through this. So we're going to move to the next slide, and I am very, very grateful to my coworkers who are here. And I believe, I'm gonna say this, but I'll mess up a name. So just very grateful for your presence with us today.
And just hi guys. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say my name's Heather. I work with Mary here, and I was just gonna let you know. I did take originally we had everybody muted and cameras off, but I have changed that. So yes, you are able to come on and introduce yourself if you feel led to do that. And I just wanted to mention that, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you. And you can stay off mute. We don't have to mute back if you want to. Cameron.
Hey, I was putting my camera on now. Yeah, it was disabled for us before, so we couldn't get off or anything. So thank you for changing that. So good afternoon. I am Shalon Belchi. I'm actually new here with CTS Health as of October, and I actually just moved to Charlotte here. Last year in March. So very still new to everything, but I'm happy for this. I definitely need self-care. I need to learn more about it for myself. Of course, with the job that we do, giving, a lot of families, a lot of kids and stuff, those kind of services or these kind of services dealing with mental health, I absolutely need to be able to channel into my own and figure out how to build myself back up and stuff like that. And then I have my own kids as well, so that's a whole other thing. So between the job, the kids, life, it's just definitely necessary. So I'm excited to be here today.
Well, we are glad to have you, and thank you so very much for sharing.
Sure.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I heard you say my name, Mary, beforehand, so I will go. I'm Cameron Lipford. I'm the youth coordinator with North Carolina Families United. And it's definitely great to be here today.
Okay. I'm really excited. It's a Friday. People are trying to close out their work, and that makes a whole lot of sense to me. So, Miss Belchi, I will say you have a beautiful smile, and as someone that's sitting in this chair of presenting, I will say it's always helpful for the presenter to be able to see faces because it's settling. There is so much about where we are in the world today and everything is virtual, that connection, human contact is something that we don't get a lot of because we're working from home, or what we get is really focused in and around our families. We're not able to be in those spaces where we're seeing a lot of people face to face. So the webinars are great, virtual is great, but it still lacks that being able to see the face and to connect with the heart. So if y'all want to just show your faces, I'm just going to tell you that will settle my own nervous system and help build, maintain, sustain my self-care. So thank you for that. And I'm going to see what this is going to do. Don't ask me. I just hit, okay.
You've got this, Mary.
It's going to
the,
be, the
the
one
arrow.
thing that
See
I
where it says
know
one
is
dash
that
nine.
I love being able to work virtually, but what we just did is now acting a little bit different. So I'm gonna see. There's stuff up here that don't make a bit of sense to me, but I'm gonna keep trying.
You're in the
Nope,
right.
that is not what I wanted. Do not do that. Do not. Do not. Do not. Go back. Go back. But this
Mary, if you go to the top, remember the little yep, there you
there.
go.
So
And then
we're
you'll
gonna
just use
try it
the
again.
arrows.
There it is.
There you go.
Da-da-da. There it is.
She
It gets
did
a
it.
little, it's like there's a delay. I keep telling everybody that I work with that I have gremlins in my computer, and every now and then they take over and they do a little dance. So when you see me wiggle, just know that the gremlins and I are working it out. I will also tell you that because you came with us today, these are our objectives, that after this webinar, you will notice a sense and feelings within yourself on how you want to increase your self-awareness around self-care. There will also be an increase in the self-responsiveness, being able to notice when you're feeling a little bit of wonkiness and being able to bring yourself back to that place of center where you feel more relaxed and more and more calm. And then you will also be able to notice and move a little quicker into taking some daily action around self-care, moving your body from one place to another. So Heather, I think, has put something in the chat. We would like to know how you heard about today's webinar, because North Carolina Families United will be hosting webinars at least once a month. Some of them will be around various topics that relate to, like, what the month awareness is. Then we will also be trying to create more spaces where we're talking about self-care and how that impacts your life. Because when we look at the objectives and then we think about the work that we do, Ms. Belchi, that you talked about, being a parent and working full time, all of those things create opportunities for stress. Just going through your daily routine. We are always impacted by the external forces that hit our nervous system and present a jolt that somehow knocks us off balance a little bit. You're sitting in your space and like getting up this morning, I've been working with this PowerPoint all week. Thought I had everything down, worked with it last night, and there were some glitches. So I got up extra early this morning, once again, coming into the space, and I still couldn't figure it out. So I was like sending emails real quickly, and all of that energy from thinking about this was not going to work got stuck in my nervous system, and I was shaky. So when Cam and Heather came on and helped me work through that, and then being able to settle into the space, I do feel calmer, but I'm also thinking about what is happening in the world around us that we have no control over. Not really. We're sitting in our spaces, we're going about our daily work, but every time, whether we turn on the news or we look at our phones and we get those notifications, there is something, a jolt, whether it is pleasant or unpleasant, that's always hitting our nervous system. And when that happens, our body begins to scan the amygdala and is looking for signs of danger, because our bodies are automatically wired for survival. And in that, fight, flight, or freeze shows up. And when that shows up, we can get stuck. We can get stuck in being very, very amped up, is what I call it, which is, your anxiety is high, you're scanning, you're looking around, you're feeling pretty nervous, or we can get stuck in shutdown mode. I just want to crawl into bed and not get out. All of those things happen. So they happen all times during the day. It's very hard for our bodies to be exposed to the environment and always stay in a place of balance. Always just stay in that place of where we're calm, cool, and collected. We get knocked out and we go from high to low to in between, and the nervous system moves like this all the time. It can move back and forth from feeling comfortable to uncomfortable. So all of those things happen to us. And we just want to take some time to build up and add some tools in our toolbox that will help us center, regulate, and recompose ourselves. So as you are in the space, from the objectives, I've chosen some words today that we want to focus on. And I've placed those words in numerical order. And there's no rhyme or reason to the numerical order, but I just want you, as you are looking at the screen and noticing our keywords, one, look at the words themselves. And if you want to make a note beside of maybe writing down the word, that's an invitation. And what does that word mean to you? You don't have to write, just think about it. I'll give you a couple minutes to think about this word, each one of them. And if you don't mind, if you'll share with us, it's an invitation only, which one of these words impacts you the most? Which one stands out?
For me, at least in this season, would be awareness.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for sharing, Heather. Do you mind telling us why that word stands out to you?
I feel like I'm in a constant state of awareness just because I am constantly wanting to grow, right?
Okay.
In all aspects of my life, but also awareness of like just being in the moment because I feel like a lot of times we get so caught up in what's next, what's next, what's next, or even for some people, like what happened in the past, you know? So just being aware of the moment that we're in and just having gratitude for that moment and being able to have that awareness. Yeah.
Mm. So Heather, I can't see your face, but by the sound of your voice, I noticed some softness. Um, it felt to me as if your smile got wider.
Mhm.
Um, I I would have imagined that you sat up a little straighter in your chair, and when you began to talk about that state of growth and awareness and being in the moment, I can only imagine what that's like because Heather is a new mom. And part of that awareness, I imagine, centers around your baby and being aware of those moments where exploration is taken off and they're doing something new. And yeah, does that
Absolutely.
make sense?
No, you're spot on. Spot on.
Okay, okay. Ah, yeah. Yeah, that's good. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I can go next. Heather kind of took the first one I was thinking about. So I was also thinking about action. That was the next one that stood out for me. Um, because I feel like I make a lot of plans, right? And I'm like, well, I want to do this. I'm gonna do this. Like, especially, January is always new year, new this, making a list of all that. But then there's no action behind it. And, you have the plan with no things that you're doing to make it happen, then it doesn't happen, or the consistent action, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't happen. You don't keep doing it or keep working towards it, and then it falls off. So I think that right there is really more of a reminder for me that
Mm-hmm.
the things that I'm thinking about wanting to do or that I am currently doing to continue putting that action behind it, so that I can keep moving forward.
I love that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And please say your first name one more time for me. I need one more.
Yeah, it's Shalon.
Shalon. I
Mhm.
I, I would have yeah, Shalon. Shalon.
Yeah,
I
it's okay.
love it.
The
It's
way it's
beautiful. It's
spelled,
beautiful.
everybody has it always throws them. So yeah, it's Shalon though.
It yeah, it has this real um elegant flow. Shalon, Shalon. Like Chanel. Yeah, okay. Okay. Thank you
Mhm.
for sharing. I appreciate it.
Of
Anyone
course.
else?
All right. I can go. I'll go. So, like honestly, probably a lot of these, well, not all, a lot, all of these apply, but I
Mhm.
think the biggest one, for me right now at this time in my life is, I guess increase, and that's just
Mm.
in all areas of my life, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, every area I
Mhm.
can think of is my goal, and also just what I feel like is happening naturally, and what I guess me I am faith. So having God lead me in those areas, but that's what I see for me this year and is what I'm hoping for, just to continue to increase in every area of my life.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Cameron, for sharing that. And it makes sense. So noticing that for each one of us, we are in spaces where the meaning of the words for us um, is reflected in where we are and what we want to do with our life and how we want to show up in spaces for this year. So my invitation would be asking, and if you so choose, if you were creating, if you had chosen these words, would you have placed them in this particular numerical order? And if not, I invite you to write the words down and put them in the order that makes the most sense that is most appropriate for you and your self-care. And as I said, after the webinar, we will send out a handout and you can, it'll have a little workspace so that you are able to do this activity on your own. And you can even take it a step deeper, thinking about exploring each word and how that word shows up in your own realm of creating self-care. So, because of time, we're going to move. The words are up here again. And just so that you are able to capture them again and think about maybe what would be your number 2, what would be your number 3, and how you would place them in your life, and then taking a little bit of time to decide how they show up in your self-care now. Where are you seeing increase? For me, I went from taking a walk every now and then to getting in a walk every other day. And I've been consistent with that for about 3 weeks because I realized that I was sitting in this chair a lot. My hips, y'all, as women, let's just be real right now. My hips were getting stiff, my joints were popping, and I said, I've got to move. So it picked up the word move. So for me, putting them in an order that makes sense of what do I need to do to increase my own self-care. I talk about it. Everywhere you go, people are talking about self-care nationally, locally, but this is more than just talk about it. If we don't begin to take the action, as Shalon said, moving and creating some action points around it, it will really do us no good to just keep talking about it. Because we do a whole lot of talking in America. And the action sometimes does not measure up to what we are trying to accomplish. So right now, we're just going to do an open discussion. And you can come off mute. You can share your cameras. I'd love to see your face as we're talking to each other. So in this, at this point, which one of those words impacts you the most in your self-care? Right now, think about what you are doing. What is your self-care routine today? And if you have a morning self-care routine, which one of those words would you attach to your morning routine of self-care?
I'll go. The increase, kind of like you were talking about walking every single day, or that being a goal to walk more. For me, my self-care actually is now, thankfully, being able to be in the gym. And I'm usually in the gym every single day or every morning. And that is part of my routine, that I'm taking an extra time for myself, getting shower and everything outside of my kids, getting them ready. I'm picking out what I'm wearing. I am picking out my routine or whatever for the actual gym time, my workout plan that I'm going to be doing. And then, obviously increasing like the time that I'm there, the workouts that I'm doing, the reps that I'm completing, pushing myself more, and even, I guess, going as far as increasing the music that I'm actually attaching to that time. It's being more intentional about certain things that I'm listening to and things that will put me in the right mindset, headspace. I started off listening to a lot of course, like hip hop and stuff like that, but then I started moving towards like Christian music and like old school Kirk Franklin, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's for me that was like, okay, I listened to it one day and I was like, I actually love this. So now I incorporate it every day into my routine. I'll still, turn on some good regular music every now and again, but there's something about it that gets me in a good mood and it's just a great start to my day. So yeah.
Shalon, Shalon, I noticed that when you were talking and you're bright anyway, your smile is just there constantly. But when you spoke about the music, your body became fluid. It was like you were flowing in and with the music. And when you said Christian, I could tell that your countenance lifted. Your back got a little straighter, your chin went up. So there is something about the external impact, the way that positive, strength-based music resonates with our core. Because we're not, we're not gonna get preachy, but our bodies were made by the Creator, right? So when you think about being able to connect with creation, because we've been created by the Creator, so we're part of creation, and that brings us to this place of spiritual connectivity to the source of life. That says something. And when you are able to be in a space where the music, everything is connected back to the Creator, it does. It gives you strength to weather the storm. It settles the spirit. So that, yes, I love that. And it makes sense to my nervous system because my coworkers will tell you I can get bumped out, and when I get bumped out, sometimes the only way back is through some music, some soft jazz, or some Yolanda Adams, or Donnie McKirkland, Kirk Franklin, Tamala Mann. Take me to the king. I mean, like, quick. Yeah. So that makes sense to me. Anyone else? Yes. Thank you for sharing.
Of course. Yes, that was awesome, Shalon. I love that. I'm not yet in a space to work out, but maybe soon. So my word would be responsiveness. And so I feel like I often neglect my body's response. I ignore it. I want to say that. And so when I feel uncomfortable, or when I feel like I need to go drink more water or whatever, like, I tend to ignore that response because I'm putting something or someone else's needs before mine. So that is one that I really want to hone in on, is just listening to my body and taking care of myself. Because if I'm not doing that for myself, it's going to be hard for me to adequately care for anybody else, my children, my spouse, So yeah, that's the word. Awareness was good, but something that, yes, responsiveness is something that I really need to stop neglecting myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Heather. That's beautiful. I think you summed up self-care, and one of the things that we do automatically without thinking is we ignore what our body is saying to us. We ignore it. And that is the nature of Western civilization. That is the nature of work. That is the nature of life, that we've been taught to put ourselves last. Oh, don't be selfish. And And in the not being selfish, we have learned to be selfless because we do not take care of ourselves. And thank you for bringing that out, because for me, I'm able to skip a whole section now because you introduced that so well. Thank you.
Oh, that's funny. Well, we will still love to hear your whole section too.
Well,
Yeah.
we're going to do our best. Anyone else,
Okay.
if you care to share? Okay. So, and I think we've looked at this a little bit. What is the hardest part about taking action for self-care? Great introduction, Heather. Thank you. What's the hardest part? Shalon says, I agree. Being with that, especially with motherhood, 7 years with my kids, and yeah, just now, just now starting to put myself first. How many of us can say that? Whether we're a parent or not, because life socially, we are not taught to put ourselves first. And to me, I feel like that's the number one hardest part of self-care, is that we're taught, oh, you got to take care of everybody, especially women. Again, whether you are a parent biologically or not, there are still people in your space, in your life, that you are identified as their care provider, their caregiver. Even at work, in our jobs, there are things, individuals, people that we are providing services and supports to, that in a sense we're providing care and support. So we're doing that. And the hardest part of self-care is knowing that you got to do it for yourself first. How many times do we make up our whole list of what we got to get done for the week, and it's all focused outward? Everything that we're doing is directed out towards someone, something else.
Absolutely.
Very few spaces where it's coming back in. We don't even create a doorway for things to come back into us so that we are revived and able to be more present. Miss Sable, excuse me, everybody. If you'll put it on the table, I do not want you to walk around a whole lot, okay? Thank you. Not on the sink, put it on the table. Y'all, everywhere you go, right? Never stops as a
Yes.
mom. Never
Never.
stops. And that's the hardest part of taking action for self-care. Would y'all agree?
I do
Definitely.
agree. I agree with that. And the time,
Oh,
which I feel like they go hand in hand.
yes. Hand in hand. And then, do any of y'all feel guilty?
I was just about to say that was going to be the hardest part, is the guilt. Like, I don't feel like I deserve that, but here I am pouring out of my cup onto everybody, to my kids, to my job, to, neighbors, whoever it is, my friends. But I feel like if I even take the time to ask for it or to look for it and do these things, why do I need to do that? Or I'm asking for too much, I'm doing too much, right? And that's crazy, thinking about it now, and just on this journey, I guess, that I've been on with self-care. It's like, but I do deserve it. I need it, and I have to force myself, because that doubt's going to be there, that, oh, but what if my kids need this? What if this happened? Da, 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 and like all of that. But I got to tune all that noise out, because I do need a break, or I do need to go like to the gym. I do need to go and just sit with myself over here. Or I need to go on this nice little hike and just clear my mind, right? Do something for me, because if I don't, it's gonna eat me up in the end, right? It's gonna be worse off, and I'm gonna wind up blowing up or whatever it is at the wrong time, the wrong person, and it has happened before, right? So I can't let myself get to that point. I have to, if I don't stop myself, at least like my best friend and my mom, they're always like, no, we're taking you, we're gonna do this, or you're about to have this time, I'm taking the kids and we're doing this. Like, that's it. So yeah.
Absolutely. I agree.
That
if you're
is-
not good, nobody's good.
Definitely.
Yeah. And it all fits. You know, there is not any one place that we can neglect. We got to increase self-care. We got to be more responsive to it. We have to do the action. We have to move. Yes, ma'am, Cam. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, well, within saying all that, because me personally, I don't have children of my own that I've birthed, but just every time we have these conversations, it's just a reminder for me too, and hopefully to other people that, you can't look at somebody and know what they're going through, what they have going on, or, I don't have children of my own, but I have siblings that are like my children and they live with me. And so I feel a lot of the same feelings, but people look at me and they're like, oh, you're younger, and like, oh, you didn't have them, so it's not the same thing. When in all actuality, I don't, not to put anybody else's experiences down, I do think it's harder trying to be a sibling and a role model slash parent at the same time, and still trying to, like you said, build yourself, self-care for yourself and those kind of things. So just touching on that.
And Cam, that is such an important part, that if we're really going to invite others to grow their own self-care, it is recognizing that everybody has the need for self-care. It has nothing to do with whether you're a parent or not, whether you're a female or not. It's all about, if you are a human being that has a brain, that has a nervous system, that is shaped, covered in a body, the stress of life is going to hit you and knock you off balance. And when it knocks you off balance, you're not able to be in your thinking brain. I can tell you the number of times in a day that I flip my lid because of something that's happened, and I am acting like a ranting, raving lunatic. It happens. Something hits my nervous system and sends me into fight or flight or freeze mode, and all I'm trying to do is survive. So whether you have children, that's not even an issue. You got a nervous system, and because you have a nervous system, we need to practice and self-care. It's important for everyone. It affects even our babies, toddlers. Everyone has the need for self-care. And if we can begin to notice that and grow it within ourselves, then it's much easier for us, Cameron, to model that for the people that are around us, because your siblings need to see from the perspective of a sibling. My older sister, man, she's good at self-care. She's taking care of herself, and she's doing those things that, she's putting herself first. Because we know these things, it's up to us to spread that message so that people don't stop feeling guilty about doing something for yourself. Stop feeling guilty about going to the nail salon or going to the beautician and getting your hair done, or going to the spa, or whether, and those things are, they cost a little bit, but just taking a ride in your car. Some evenings, once everyone is settled, I love to get in my car. And I live in a rural part of North Carolina. I love getting in my car and finding a road that doesn't have a lot of traffic. Oh, and dropping my Honda down into sport mode and just rolling at about 85 miles an hour just because I need to get that energy out of my body. I need to be able, my dogs are chasing something. Okay. I need to be able to get that energy out from all day. And one way that I do that is getting in the car and just driving. Finding those things that mean something to you that gets that out so you're able to shake that off of your body. It's important. It really is. And all the things that you have said together play into that and help us connect to that. Okay, where are we at? Done started. There they started.
The gremlins. The gremlins are
There.
here.
Yeah.
They're playing with her audio. Okay.
Play it. Play.
It's muted, Mary. It ended on mute.
Ain't that something? I told you.
Mute.
They do their own thing. What's the best part of self-care? We've talked about what's the hardest, but what's the best part for you?
I'll say the feeling. I mean, the feeling of accomplishing it, for one, feeling like I have felt refreshed. I felt like I've been able to kind of decompress from everything, whatever it might be, and then been able to tune into my emotions. I feel like when I do get to practice it, I really get to sit and be like, wow, I did that. And now I really want to do it some more, right? It makes you feel like you want to do it again. And yeah, just like I said, the accomplishment as well. Like I did that. I feel better because of it, and I want to do it some more.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. I second that, Shalon. I was exactly gonna say the feeling of refreshment, renewal. Um, but also taking it a step further and feeling like I'm worthy of this because I struggle with self-worthiness a lot.
Yes. Yes.
So I think that with that feeling of, renewal and feeling fresh again, it's like, oh, I I am worth these feelings of, I feel good about myself and I'm worth and I'm worthy enough to have those feelings about myself. So I think that's the best part for me.
Thank you, Heather. So knowing that it impacts and builds self-esteem, confidence, both of the things that you said, just it it is sort of like a creating the whole package. I love that. As you were, both of you were talking, Cam, you got anything? I'm not trying to call you out. You don't have to.
No, I mean, I think the biggest sentiment is with them, is the idea that self-care, is for me. Um, and also just like I have a thing I'd rather really do for others than do for myself. I get more fulfillment that way. But
Mhm,
understanding that I still need my own things,
mhm.
because I hide behind that doing for others more than it is a doing for others, and I kind of make it look like that, but it's more so I can hide away from doing for myself. So
Yeah. So it's creating the balance because if there is not a balance, if the giving out is amazing, and yes, we get all these warm, fuzzy feelings, and knowing that we've helped and supported and made a difference in someone else's life, and all of those things are good and they're going outward. But on the back end, finding yourself in a position where you're always giving out and no one is ever pouring back into you, it's sort of when it happens to me, I'm feeling empty. I feel depleted. I feel drained and dried up. I'm tired. I'm lethargic. So every now and then, having something to pour over and into me, something that restores what I've given out. It's the cycle of life. Y'all go back to watch the Lion King and the cycle of life and the circle of life. We got to create that for us and for our families. So all that you have said is the best part of self-care, knowing that you are worthy, you do deserve it, and that you are worth that. Creating the balance. That as you create the balance between work and self-care, between life and self-care, when all of these things in life are happening and you have a solid self-care routine, it's a pathway. Don't get weary in well-doing. Okay, I'm not preaching, but that's foundational to life. We wear ourselves out when we don't create the balance. These self-care creates resilience. You're able to experience a hard moment and it not take you out. It gives you the energy to notice that, to create a plan, and come back even stronger. My mom said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So as we weather these storms, these hard moments, and we see that, yeah, that was a tough thing for me to go through, but I did it and I'm still here. So it's creating resilience and helping us to see that we can survive and thrive in these stressful moments throughout the day. You'll have one. Okay, I just need a minute to reset and I'm back in action. It does create that sense of renewal that Heather talked about. So in that, we just encourage you to keep building.
Uh-oh, you went mute again, Mary.
I love it. I
You
told you,
said
they
keep
active.
building that.
Yes, keep building your self-care routine. If there are things that you've thought about that you want to add into your routine, today is the day that you get to add them, to think about, to put a little more thought into your plan for self and how you intend to take care of yourself and how you intend to move. And I'm telling you, they
The gremlins don't want you to be great. But just know you are great. It's me. It's muted again.
I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out. I just gotta. It's like all hands on deck. Everybody, all hands. So think this is our reflection moment. Moving forward, how are you willing to move into taking action to increase your self-care? What is something you've got a plan that you're working? Earlier, Heather said that she wasn't quite in the space to be going to the gym, but she wants to get there. Moving forward, Heather, what might it take for you to be able to go to the gym, and what kind of a goal can you set that will help you get there so that you are moving forward? And that's the invitation for
I
all of us
think,
here. Just
yeah.
think about, what do we need to do? Yes, ma'am.
Oh yeah, I was just saying taking that first step is, you know, the best thing to do. Yeah. Just take
Yeah.
one step at a time.
Yeah. For me, I've got the application, right? That is on my desk. I stopped by the facility. I got the application. I've even saved up the money for the first month. I've written the check. So the application and the check need to go back to I need to take them. I need to drop them off. And then I need to set the date and just go. So that's mine. My next step is to take the application and the check to the place and make and set the date that I'm going. So as again, we'll send out the handout. There will be a certificate that is attached to this, and it will be for one contact hour that will be sent to you. But when you get the notes, this would be my invitation, that you don't just come and be in this space in this moment and then go back to life as before. That you take the notes, that you actually sit down and go through the questions, and that you look at because there's a couple of sections. You look at balance, you look at resilience, you look at renewal, you look at practical strategies, and you look at how mental well-being can boost your physical well-being, and what are some other things that will boost your well-being. And then looking at just how you want to end 2025. How do you want to experience the rest of this year in relationship to self-care? That's up to you. No one gets to decide that but you. It's the first day that you can begin to build your goal, your dreams, your desires that you want to see in this year. It doesn't begin with your children. It doesn't begin with your significant other. It doesn't begin with your coworkers. It begins with you. It begins with me, because I am the creator and the crafter of my own space. I get to decide how much self-care I pour into me. Yes, Shalon.
Yeah, it was, hold on. There we go. All right. Just on that note that you were saying, and kind of to answer the question a little bit, I think for me, that guilt, like we talked about, is going to be me needing to not wipe it out. Obviously, it's not going to necessarily go away officially, but to not lean into it, to not feel like, okay, the immediate reaction is, oh, well, I don't know if I can do it because of this, that, and whatever. Like, no, I'm going to kind of go into my goals, or like making sure to have my self-care by, this is what I want to do, and this is the date that I'm going to do it. And despite all the extra noise or all the what ifs and stuff like that, I know that's probably easier said than done, but that's actually one of my goals that I've written for this year, is to stop kind of standing in my own way with it, to stop thinking that I don't deserve it, and just putting more action behind that. So, yeah.
I love it. You're right. Guilt it's gonna come up, around self-care. But when it does, being able to take that thought and say, no, I'm worth it. I matter. I deserve. Using the I words, creating those affirmations around it. Again, for the sake of time, I really hope that as you get the PowerPoint, as you get the notes, this is the challenge. Hopefully, we will be back in this space later in the year, and keep note of how your self-care is increasing over time, and see how it's spilling out into the life and showing up in the lives of those around you. Because the reality is, what you do in front of your children and your family, it impacts their life. So when they see you do it, it makes it easier for them to follow suit. We're creating the change that we want to see. So again, we thank you for joining us, Miss Shalon. Shalon. Shalon Belchi,
Shalom.
thank you. Beautiful face. Thank you for joining us. We will be sharing with you via email other webinars that we're going to host around self-care and other things. I will say that beginning in February, we are beginning our Healthy Heart campaign.
Yes.
More information will be coming out around that. February is Women's Heart Health Month, Awareness Month, and we are really excited and going to be very intentional about how, as women, especially women of color, women who are surrounded by our families and knowing that our families need us, and how do we begin to improve and increase our own heart health. So that campaign will start on February the 1st. You'll get, if because you've put your email in the chat box, it sort of just automatically links you up to receive the information. And it's not a push. You do not have to participate in the challenge, but there will be things that we will be doing on a weekly basis. You will be able to respond back to us on how you are doing with that. There will be some things that focus on exercise and self-esteem, because all of that plays into heart healthiness. So
Definitely.
share it with others. Let's increase this space for ourselves and others. The Heart Healthy campaign is not only for women. We're going to include men as well, because we want our spouses to live longer, our brothers, our uncles, the men in our lives. We want them to live longer. And it takes the whole village to create this environment and create the balance. So again, thank you. It is 1:05. I've taken 5 minutes out of your day. But I want you to give that 5 minutes back to you in the form of, if you've got something to drink, just take a sip. And notice whether it's warm or cool, and how that flows across your tongue and down your esophagus, and what you're feeling. Practice using the strategies that you're going to receive in the handout, and taking care of yourself. So thank you so much for today. It's a pleasure meeting you. And North Carolina Families United is stronger and healthier because of you. And because of that, we believe you are stronger and healthier because of the connection. So let's keep working together.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you so much. Y'all have a great one.
All right, you
Thank
too.
you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.